Gordon's up. Hey guys, thank you very much again for your Hump Days help. You're welcome. As usual, it is greatly appreciated. I presume that if you wanted to use a tracking phone number for a client's GMB listing, you could simply go back and edit the existing citations to replace the original number with the tracking number, but will doing that trigger any negative reactions from Google or make it more difficult to rank the listing in the 3-pack? Well, yes and no. It depends on how you do it, because you can add additional phone numbers in GMB. It doesn't have to just be one. So it depends on what you're trying to track. If all you're trying to track is the phone numbers to the Google listing, right? And then you can add the tracking number as the primary number in the GMB and then move whatever the original number was to the secondary number in GMB. And Google will know both numbers are there and associated with that GMB profile. So your existing citations, it will not cause an NAP issue, because even though the published phone number in Google will be your tracking number and the citations will be the original phone number, Google knows, because the original phone number is still part of the GMB. You have it listed inside the GMB, but it just might not show as the published number. Google will know that it's still part of the GMB itself, right? It's similar to service area businesses, right? Most business directories will not allow you to publish a listing without a street address. And we get that question a lot. People say, well, now if service area businesses, if Google does not allow you to publish your physical address, your physical location for service area businesses in the listing, you have to go clear that before you even add your service areas, or else you can get a suspension in GMB. Well, people say, well, then should I go publish citations or build citations with just city, state, and zip as opposed to street address, city, state, and zip? And no, because first of all, most directories aren't going to allow you to have a listing unless you have a street address. But even if you do, I would recommend that you still have the street address showing in the directories, because you want to make that association between that kind of push that same data, right? You want that data consistency. But what I'm saying is, if you are building citations, your business directories, most of them are going to require a street address, but your GMB doesn't show it. It doesn't publish it. However, in order to verify the GMB, you had to have had an address at some point, right? Because when you first set it up, it has to have an address, or else it won't allow you to even set it up. So Google understands and knows what physical location is associated with that business. So when you build other citations out there, even though it's an unpublished address, Google knows that that's associated and pointing to that business, right? That's correct. So the same thing goes with the phone number. If you unpublish the original phone number, but you still leave it as part of the GMB because it's still listed as a secondary phone number inside the dashboard, although it may not show in maps, then your citations are still going to be referencing that original number. And that shouldn't be a problem. And I've done that, guys. That's why I know that. And if that's all you're trying to track is the calls to the GMB itself, then you can just add that tracking phone number as the primary phone number. Now, if you want to track calls through all of the other places that the NAP is published, then yes, you'd have to go through and do a citation cleanup job, which is very tedious work. I would never recommend you do that on your own. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Now you might see actually I've done it before, not seen any movement at all. But typically if you do some sort of a change, you might see a little bit of dancing, but like I said, I've changed, I've even changed business names, believe it or not, in GMB, or like appended like a city and stuff like that to it in the past and not seen any movement. So, again, I take that with a grain of salt, but you should, as long as you're keeping the original number just as a secondary number, you shouldn't have any problems.